The Grateful Magpie. Once upon a time, in a beautiful land where green mountains and clear rivers harmonized, lived a kind-hearted scholar. To showcase the knowledge he had long cultivated, the scholar was on his way to Hanyang to take the state examination. Though he carried a heavy bundle on his back, his steps were light with hope. This time, I will surely pass with top honors, bring joy to my parents, and practice politics for the people. Walking along the winding mountain path, the scholar wiped the beads of sweat from his forehead, reinforcing his firm resolve. It was when he had walked deep into the mountains. An urgent and pitiful sound broke the peaceful silence of the forest. Caw, caw! Cautiously approaching the source of the sound, he witnessed a horrifying scene unfolding in a magpie's nest atop a large pine tree. A huge serpent was slithering up towards the nest, its tongue flickering, while inside the nest, baby magpies, still covered in soft down, trembled in fear. The mother magpie was desperately circling the nest, trying to drive the serpent away with her sharp cries. "Oh no, if I leave them, the chicks will all be eaten." Without a moment's hesitation, the scholar took the bow from his back. In a touch-and-go situation, he held his breath, focused his entire mind, and pulled the bowstring taut, aiming at the serpent. With a twang, the arrow left the bow, cut through the wind, and struck the serpent's body squarely. The massive serpent let out a painful scream and fell from the tree, and peace returned to the forest. Having escaped the crisis, the mother and father magpies circled above the scholar's head, repeatedly bowing in gratitude. Their cries of caw, caw no longer sounded like urgent screams, but like a song of joy and thanks. The scholar smiled warmly at the magpie family and said, "It's all right now. Take good care of your chicks." With a contented heart, the scholar readjusted his bundle and hurried on his way to Hanyang. As he walked the mountain path, the sun set, and the surroundings were plunged into pitch-black darkness. Just as the scholar was growing weary, unable to find a place to rest, a faint light from deep within the forest caught his eye. A house in these deep mountains, what a relief! The scholar mustered his last bit of strength and walked towards the light. There stood a splendid tiled house, boasting a noble figure under the moonlight. The scholar cautiously approached the gate and knocked. "Who is it?" "Would you please come in?" After a moment, the door creaked open and a beautiful woman in a white morning dress appeared. She kindly welcomed the lost scholar and guided him to a warm room. Soon, a table full of delicious food was served, and the scholar, satisfying his hunger, was grateful for the woman's kindness. However, a strangely chilly atmosphere and the woman's unreadable eyes gave the scholar a peculiar feeling, but he soon forgot it due to his exhaustion and fell into a deep sleep. How much time had passed? The scholar awoke from his sleep in terrible agony, gasping for breath. When he opened his eyes, he saw the wife of the serpent he had shot with his bow earlier that day, her eyes burning with vengeance. The beautiful woman was gone, and in her place, a giant serpent was flicking its tongue, coiling itself tightly around the scholar's entire body. "You wretch! Did you think you could get away with killing my husband?" The scholar struggled in terror, but he was no match for the serpent's strength. Just as the shadow of death loomed over him, the serpent woman spoke in a cold voice. "My husband's enemy. but I will grant you one last chance out of mercy. If the bell in that deserted temple on the mountaintop rings 3 times before dawn, I will spare your life. But if it does not, you will repay my husband's grudge with your life." Where the serpent pointed, a bell pavilion on a distant mountaintop was faintly visible. The scholar was in despair. How could the bell of a deserted temple, untouched by human hands, ring by itself in the dead of night? Resigning himself to his fate, the scholar quietly closed his eyes and prepared to accept death. At that very moment, something began to move urgently in the darkness. It was the magpie couple whose lives the scholar had saved earlier that day. Realizing the scholar was in danger, the magpies, to repay his kindness, flew through the moonlight towards the bell pavilion with grim determination. It was at that very moment, as the scholar awaited his death. A heavy, majestic bell toll shattered the silence of the deep mountain. Dong! A moment later, another bell toll split the night sky. Dong! And finally, a third bell toll echoed throughout the mountain. Dong! The serpent woman was utterly astonished that the impossible had happened. As promised, she released the scholar and, with a cry of resentment, vanished like a mist. As soon as day broke, the scholar rushed to the bell pavilion. He wanted to see who had rung the bell for him, but upon arriving at the pavilion, the scholar was speechless and sank to his knees. Lying under the giant bell were 2 magpies, cold and still, with blood on their heads. It was the very couple he had saved. They had struck the massive bell with their small bodies to make it ring, saving the scholar's life and meeting a heroic end. The scholar shed hot tears before the noble sacrifice of the magpies who had given their lives for him. He carefully buried the magpie couple in a sunny spot and stayed before their grave for a long time, comforting their souls. The scholar realized that a small act of kindness to a small creature had created a miracle and saved his own life. Engraving the preciousness of life and the value of returning a favor deep in his heart, the scholar silently walked the path to Hanyang once more. From that day on, it is said that the scholar became an even more virtuous and wise person, helping many people. Thanks for watching.